This is Ash Buchanan and Sookie LeFaye. Inside the Celts and Vikings mythology shop, the two resident cats, Ash and Sookie, were lounging around on their special beds at the back of the store. Their beds were carefully put beside the till where they could always see their mum, but be out of way of the customers. All of a sudden, when a new customer came in, a fairy flew in quickly and sat on the shelf above them. They both looked at one another curiously. Sookie went back to sleep. So the fairy started muttering. Why doesn't anybody remember Bealtuinn? The fairy fluttered. And you two should definitely know, she said to the two of them when she noticed them looking. Well, I was just too little, said Ash. If I was even born at all, my mother was still carrying me in her mouth at summer solstice. Well, I know about it. It's when everything is budding and starts to turn green. And I'm sleeping. Leave me alone. But she secretly smiled, so proud of herself. The fairy stood up and said, No, 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 no. That's when the equinox is here. Bealtuinn is when the flowers bloom. That's when the fairies come. That's our favorite month and our favorite holiday. Bealtuinn is when everything comes out. And you, Ash, were definitely born in the month of May. Their mum, Miss Steele, was listening to the conversation, and when her muggle customer left, she joined in the conversation. Yes, my beautiful fur babies, Bealtuinn is when the Hawk of May marries the May Queen. Those are names we use sometimes for the sun and the earth. Ash sat up for his mother's affection, and Sookie put her paw over her face, not ready to engage in any lessons by a fairy. She continued, It's like a huge wedding with all the forces of nature attending. It's told over and over again in different ways and different times. Even in the tale of Bambi, we see the miracles of the wedding. The fairy, whose name was Alette, flew around the room in a circle so excited. And she said, yes, it's so exciting because we all get to dress up in wedding banquet attire. And nobody else can get married that month, or it's bad luck. Ah, but you can do a trial marriage, Miss Steele said, for a year and a day. And that's where you get to learn from each other and plan for what you both want, and see if it works out, Miss Steele added. June, though, is the month for real marriages, and it's when you get to go off together under the honeymoon. Sookie reluctantly got up. She liked to do her own thing of greeting everyone and making sure they felt seen and loved. But she didn't like the smug fairy being a know-it-all, taking away the attention from her Uncle Ash. She wiggled her little bum to pounce on it, but Miss Steele picked her up before she could do so, and she put her back down on the floor. We will all get ready tomorrow when our store is closed for the holiday. The next morning, Miss Steele packed a lunch for everyone, and all were dressed up. They followed her out to a clearing on her acreage where a tall pole had been decorated with red and white ribbons. The crows and Sookie's dear friends also followed them out there. Sookie was listening to her dear friend Plum. Traditionally, the ribbons were red and white to represent the same thing as mistletoe represents in Yule time. Nowadays, the colors chosen can represent spring flowers or anything you want to, but those were the original colors. And as with the reindeers, there are 8 dancers, or 4 couples, one for each celebration of the year. But that has also changed to there can be more dancers. The main thing is that there must be an even number of masculine energy and feminine energy dancers. The dance starts with the pairs facing each other and involves moving around in circles, one going widdershins and one going sunwise. The feminine dancers take the white ribbons and with their left sides to the pole, and the masculine dancers take the red ribbons and they have their right side to the pole. So the weaving begins when the masculine dancers move under the other dancer's ribbon first. All of them go under first. So you must keep the weave. And they go together and they make a beautiful weave down the tree. The weaving is symbolic of decorating to honor the male symbol, which plants the seeds for growth, and the wrapping up into the warm birth canal. It begins with music and chanting, and they continue to dance until the maypole is beautifully wrapped, and then they tie off the ribbons. In some cultures, whoever you end up with at the end is the one you spend the day with, laughing or learning new things or doing symbolic magic, said one of the crows. And so after that big discussion, everybody there, Ashy, Sookie, Misteele, the crows and the deers, they all danced the maypole together. Misteele laid out a blanket on some altar-style table, and they sat on bales of hay. And then they and the forest creatures shared chives and cabbages and radishes, pea shoots, kale, cilantro, and herbs, strawberries, fresh beans, all in a salad. And besides the salad, she put in freshly made bannock. Did you know bannock is a Scottish Celtic thing? She had a rhubarb dessert and hot artichokes and asparagus ready as well. Those are the foods of May. And then she cut uncut hunks of meat, and she served them on bronze and wicker and wooden plates, and she only used her hands and a knife. And then she also put seeds out for the birds. After they ate, they all participated in making up flower crowns, and at the end they gathered round to listen to her song of ancient tales. Sookie, the curious one, ran up and down the maypole while Misteele sang. She sang of the young women in their homes while the young men fastened garlands of greens and flowers and put them on the windows and doors of their prospective lady loves before the fires were lit, and how each type of flower or branches that they used carried a symbolic meaning, so that the negotiating and courting could be worked out ahead of time for their trial marriage. Her songs also described the god Bel, the Celtic god of light in his full power. She sang of the 2 bonfires. She sang of the villagers who traveled into the woods to collect the 9 sacred woods that would be used to light the 2 bonfires at Bealtuinn. She sang of the villagers driving their livestock through the 2 sacred fires to ensure their fertility in the coming summer, and then put them out to summer pasture. She sang of the 2 fires being the key to have purifying qualities which cleansed and revitalized them, and to ensure both the land and the people would be okay. The uppercase were drinking mead wine and the lowercase drinking beer, and they all sat around together and listened to the esteemed bards. Bards were the storytellers and historians, and also brilliant poets, said Ashley proudly between the songs. You're right. She began singing and dancing, showing the songs and the rituals and the dances of her tribe, and the merriment in all the pleasures. She sang of the celebration of the maypole to ensure the fruitful harvest during the planting season of May. She sang of the drummers and the fire spinners and the entertainment that happened during feasting. And she sang of the sacred fire. And when she was finished, Sookie came to lay in her lap, pushing Ash out of his place. And she asked, the druids could sing songs that could change everyone in the room's mood with their music magic, right? Yes, Miss Steele told Sookie as she straddled her arm like a tree branch. They could even put people under a sleep spell. Ash and Sookie learned this lesson that night, and Miss Steele's lullaby would lull them fast asleep. Thank you. The end.